I would like you to take a moment and think about how you would define a criminal justice system. We use that term all the time, and yet my experience is that most people couldn't get past a very basic definition. Today we're going to take a look at a way to think about the criminal justice system, the structure of it, and this way also will raise additional questions and issues that we can talk about. First of all, what is a system? A system can be defined as something that's composed of components, such that if something happens and changes in one component, it will also affect the other components. So for our purpose, we're going to define 4 components of the criminal justice system. The first component is laws. The second component is police. The third component, courts. And the last component is corrections. So for something to be a criminal justice system, what we have to do is to look and to establish that each one of these components are present. Now, I'm going to claim that we have multiple criminal justice systems in this country, not just one. And we're going to give names to at least 5 of them. Perhaps you could even think of more. But the ones we're going to agree to, that we will use to define the American criminal justice system, are going to be local, state, federal, military, and tribal. So let's begin with the idea, the notion of a local criminal justice system. And let's use Fairbanks, Alaska as an example. So if Fairbanks has a criminal justice system, by our definition, we have to have laws. Does Fairbanks have its own laws? Yes, they do. And one thing that we will discover is that laws that are associated with a local criminal justice system have a unique name, and these names are ordinances. So if you want to know the laws, Los Angeles, Houston, Texas, or whatever, you would think about looking into the ordinances for those cities. Same thing for Fairbanks, Alaska. Now, here is an example of an ordinance that we have that has been passed by our city council, and this is an ordinance that defines a particular area in downtown Fairbanks in which it is against the ordinance, against the law, to carry an open container. This is known locally in Fairbanks as the Open Container Act. It's an example also of how a local government can use a criminal justice system to address a particular problem or a particular concern. Apparently, the city council at some time in the past of Fairbanks was concerned about people in downtown Fairbanks walking around with an open bottle of beer or whatever, and so they created an ordinance to prohibit that. And we're looking at an example of that ordinance. You can find similar ordinances in your own city by looking them up. No doubt they will be on the internet as we have these. So, criminal justice system has to have laws. Second thing is, we define, has to have police. We have city police. You in Houston have city police, Los Angeles City Police, New York City Police. And so we do have a local police system. In some places down south, like the state of Texas, you might say you have a county as an example of a local criminal justice system. And there you would have the concept of sheriff, the sheriff's department. So local police come in different kinds of flavors, so to speak. But again, we have a police department in Fairbanks, and so we've met that criteria. What about the courts? Now here's the interesting thing about Alaska, as is different from other places across the country. In Alaska, we've decided that we only want one court system. So we don't have city courts, as you would in most of the cities in the lower 48. We, in the state of Alaska, in our cities, we would use the state court in order to carry out any type of court-needed activity. So we don't have city courts, but we certainly have a court in the sense that if you violate an ordinance and go to court on an ordinance, we would have a place to take you. And so we do, in a sense, have a court system at the city level. And then, again, Alaska, with respect to corrections, a little bit different. We don't have city jails, as you would in most places. We, again, have decided, due to the uniqueness of Alaska, maybe even the size of Alaska, that we have decided to have what we call a unified jail system, and we use the correctional facilities of the state. But I would argue that we have a local system. You can certainly see this local system in many of the cities, perhaps the city in which you live. Now, the second level of system that I'd like to define is the state system, state level. Now here, does the state have laws? Obviously the state has laws, laws of Alaska, and we give them, again, a unique name. We don't call them ordinances. They're state laws, and we refer to state laws generally with the term statutes. And here's an example of the Alaska statute. The one that we have here is I think representative of a concern that we in the state of Alaska have, and that is the misuse of our large game. And what we're looking at here is an example of a state statute called the Wanton Waste Statute. It says it's a crime if you take a large game animal and you do not properly use that animal. So again, statutes can reflect, in addition to robbery, in addition to burglary, and all those others that other states have, our state may use the statute to reflect a particular uniqueness. Does the state have a state level police? Yes, and we call them troopers. In the various states, you may have different names, but you would have a statewide police system. In the court, the state of Alaska certainly does have a state court system. We're going to study that system in detail later in our course. And we also have a state prison system called the Alaska Adult System of Corrections. So again, I have identified with our definition of what a criminal justice system is: laws, police, courts, corrections. We have local in Alaska, as you will in your state. We have state level, and now we move to the next level, and that's the federal criminal justice system. Now, does it have laws? Obviously, the federal system has many laws, and we give them the unique name. They're not ordinances, they're not statutes. We call it the U.S. Code. And does the federal system have a police? Yes, they do. In fact, the federal system probably is more characterized by the police function than the other components. The FBI, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, border patrol, immigration, customs. The federal system is just fraught with agencies and bureaus that have police functions. Do they have courts? Certainly they do. The United States Supreme Court, for example, is the top court in the court system at the federal level. Corrections? Yes, they do. We call them the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And then we move into another criminal justice system that we have in America, the military system. Their set of laws, Uniform Code of Military Justice, is what we give the name to them. They have military police. They have military jails, stockades, and they also have military courts. Now, particularly of interest in the state of Alaska, and in many other states as well that have Native American reservations, Indian reservations, is the presence of tribal criminal justice systems. And in many of our reservations, and as I say, this is kind of a really interesting issue in the state of Alaska as to the place of tribal ordinances. Many of our villages have their own ordinances. Do they have police? In Alaska, we only have one reservation. It's called Metlakatla, and they do have a tribal police function. But in our other villages, as we will study later about Alaska, we attempt to provide the police function for them through village public safety officers and other programs. But we'll learn more about that as we go along. Are there tribal courts? Yes, there are tribal courts. I've had the privilege of actually sitting in on tribal courts that have made decisions about local offenses that occurred. And do we have corrections in our tribal area? Again, outside of Metlakatla, this is an issue in Alaska, and we really do not. However, in the lower 48, if you go to some of the larger reservations, you would find actually tribal jails that they use. So what have we done now? We have backed off and we've said, well, how can we talk about a concept like the criminal justice system? One way to do it is to begin to realize that we have a structure, and that structure is not just random. There's a lot of order to it. We have specific names that we use for the laws, specific names that we use for our courts, our jails, and our police. And it always amazes me that in the land of the free, that we have multiple criminal justice systems. Now, this raises an interesting question, and it is one that you will have a discussion board for. It's a question which raises, again, some interesting views of having multiple criminal justice systems, and this is the idea of double jeopardy. Now, we're going to have material on double jeopardy, we're going to have a discussion on double jeopardy, but the issue that I want you to be thinking about is, how does double jeopardy apply when a person commits a crime, say, that is against state law and federal law? Can you be tried twice, once in the state system and once in the federal system? I think you will find the answer to that very fascinating.